There's a storm brewing behind those locker room doors, and it's not just about football. It's about power, pride, and a young star who was never supposed to rise this fast. For weeks, people have been sensing it, that quiet tension in the air, that look in Kevin Stefanski's eyes during pressers, that subtle shift in the playbook that doesn't add up. And now it's finally breaking open. The truth is clawing its way out from behind those polished press statements. Something is going on behind the scenes, and it's bigger than just game strategy. It's about Shadur Sanders and the effort to keep him from ever taking that field the way fans know he should. From the start, this didn't feel right. Fans could see it in the rotations, the play calls, the way decisions seemed too convenient, too carefully timed to keep Shedeur just out of the spotlight. They said he wasn't ready, that he needed more time, that there were other options at quarterback. But every time someone said that, you could feel it wasn't about ability, it was about control. Because anyone who's watched Shedeur knows he's built for this. The confidence, the arm, the leadership, it's all there. And yet somehow he keeps getting blocked, like there's an invisible hand moving the pieces on a board, making sure he never gets to move into position. Stefanski's fingerprints are all over this. The man who preaches structure and discipline suddenly can't explain his own choices. One week, it's an injury update. The next, it's timing. Then suddenly, Dillon Gabriel is under center like it's been the plan all along. Fans aren't stupid, they see the patterns. It's not football logic, it's manipulation. The kind that hides behind smiles and professionalism, while the real decisions happen in rooms no cameras are allowed in. The truth is, Stefanski is protecting his image. Because if Shedeur takes that field and lights it up, it changes everything. It proves that the guy sitting on the bench was the spark this team needed all along. And if that happens, Stefanski loses control of the narrative. That's the thing about power. It's addictive. Coaches, execs, they build these systems where everything flows through them. But when someone like Shedeur comes along, with that kind of natural presence, it threatens the whole hierarchy. He doesn't need permission to lead. He doesn't wait for someone to tell him he's ready. And that terrifies people who've built careers on playing gatekeeper. So they shut the door, call it strategy, and hope nobody asks too many questions. But fans are asking now. They're connecting the dots. They're seeing how every time Shedeur builds momentum, something suddenly happens. An injury, a setback, a delay. It's a pattern that's too clean to be random, and maybe that's why this story is hitting so hard, because it's not just about football anymore. It's about what happens when talent and politics collide. When someone who's earned everything gets sidelined not because of performance, but because of fear. The Browns don't want disruption. They want predictability. They don't want a young star shaking up their fragile balance, especially one who's out there connecting with the city in a way no one else has. See? That's what they don't talk about enough, what Shedeur's been doing off the field. While others stay locked in luxury homes and private lounges, he's out there in the trenches. Visiting schools, showing up in the neighborhoods people forget about, shaking hands, talking to kids, giving them a glimpse of something better. He's not just playing for himself. He's showing Cleveland what leadership looks like. Not the kind you give a speech about, the kind you show through action. When Jason mentioned him throwing with guys at high schools, some people laughed it off like it was just some casual workout. But those who know, that's not just training. That's connection. That's a young man using his influence to reach people who don't get to see NFL players up close. It's real, it's raw, and it's powerful. And maybe that's exactly what's making people uncomfortable inside that organization. Because when you've got someone who's that real, who doesn't play politics, who earns respect from the ground up, you can't control that. You can't box it in with rules or PR lines. You either embrace it or you get exposed by it. So instead of celebrating it, they downplay it. They call it noise, they treat it like a distraction. They whisper that he's too flashy, too independent, not following the system. But let's be real. What they're really saying is that he's not following their system. The one that protects egos and status more than it rewards merit. And that's what makes this whole situation so obvious. Every time Shedeur does something good, something genuine, someone inside seems to twist it, make it sound like it's the problem instead of the solution. And then there's the so-called injury, a back issue, they say. Just enough to explain why he's not active, but vague enough to keep questions from getting too specific. Convenient timing, right? Especially when the pressure was building for him to play. Suddenly, it's about recovery. Suddenly, he's rehabbing. Suddenly, it's not about talent anymore. It's about health, but if you look closer, it's the same pattern all over again. Stall, deflect, control. They call it caution. We call it cover-up. What's worse is how people like Anthony talk about it. That sarcastic tone, that fake concern, those little digs disguised as analysis, asking if guys with back injuries usually fly across the country. The envy practically drips from his voice. It's not about the flight, it's about who's on it. Because Shedeur isn't sitting around feeling sorry for himself. He's moving with grace, handling the noise like a pro, and that drives them insane. They want him rattled. They want him defensive. Instead, he's calm, focused, confident. That kind of composure threatens people who rely on chaos to stay relevant. And yeah, maybe he flew private. Maybe he took time to see his family. Maybe he did what he needed to stay grounded. But none of that changes the fact that he's being treated unfairly. In a league that claims to reward hard work and heart, Shadur is getting punished for having both. They call him a distraction because they can't handle how authentic he is. They call his influence noise because they can't admit it's real. The truth is, this whole year has been a test. From the excitement of his draft day to the quiet frustration of watching from the sidelines, it's been a journey through smoke and mirrors. Every time he takes a step forward, someone moves the goalpost. But no matter how much they twist the narrative, they can't erase what people see with their own eyes. A young man built for the moment being held back by a system too scared to let him shine. Because let's be honest, the Browns know what they have. They just don't want to admit it. They know Shedeur could change the entire energy of that franchise. They know he could bring hope, swagger, and a sense of identity that Cleveland's been missing for years. But admitting that means admitting they've been wrong. It means letting go of control. And for some people in power, that's the one thing they'll never do willingly. So now we wait. We watch as the truth leaks out, piece by piece through awkward interviews, vague statements, and accidental slips on live TV. The walls are closing in on the lies. And when they finally collapse, everyone will see it for what it is, a coordinated effort to bury a rising star before he could shine. But the thing about stars is, they don't stay buried for long. And when Shedeur finally gets his chance, when the lights hit him and the crowd roars his name, all those people who tried to hide him will have to face what they've done. You can only keep talent caged for so long before it breaks free. You can only fake strategy for so long before it turns into sabotage. So now the question isn't if Shedeur will rise, it's when. And when that moment comes, it's going to expose everything and everyone who tried to hold him back. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because this story is far from over. The truth about what's happening behind the scenes in Cleveland is only beginning to surface, and you don't want to miss what comes next. But tell me, what do you think? What's really going on behind the scenes with Shadur Sanders? What are they so afraid of?